Someone asked if I could make a nonogram puzzle grid using Affinity Designer. I wasn't really familiar with nonograms before, but it turns out they're a little bit like Sudoku. You're given some numbers in these blanks over here, and then depending on those numbers, you fill in the squares. And when you're done filling them in, they make sort of a pattern. They can make a picture or letters or just random patterns. To make the puzzle grid, though, I'm going to go to Affinity Designer. I'll start with a new document. I'll use letter 8.5 by 11, and I'm going to make mine in portrait mode. And I'm just going to leave the margins at the default settings. Create that. I'm going to use the grid tool, and I'm going to use the power duplicate tool in this video. First of all, I'll go to View. Make sure that Show Grid is selected. Go down to Grid and Axis, select that. I'm going to go to a basic grid. I'm going to leave the spacing at 1 inch, but I'm going to set the divisions to 5. So there will be 5 subdivisions per inch. I'm going to close that. You can see it's already set up the 1 inch divisions with a little bit darker line, and then the subdivisions, there are 5 of them per inch, a little bit lighter. I'm going to choose the pen tool. I'm going to leave about a 1 inch gap here so that I'll have room for my lines where you write the numbers in. I'm going to start with a 5 by 5 grid. I'm going to click here, and then I'm going to go 2 places past the 1 inch mark here. If I double click that, it'll terminate the line segment. I'm going to choose the Move tool. If I look under Edit, there's something called Duplicate Selection. It has a shortcut called Control-J. I can use that to duplicate it, but I can also do something called Power Duplicate. So first I'm going to duplicate the selection. I'm going to zoom in a little bit on this one by rolling the mouse wheel while I hold Control down. And I've duplicated it, so now I can move it and make sure it snaps to the grid. Now if I hit Control-J again, it'll not only duplicate it, but it will also include the move with it. I can do that until I have 5 of them. Then I'm going to go with my pen tool, click here, go up 2 past it, click again, and I can terminate that with a double click. I'm going to go to the Move tool, I'm going to do a Control-J to duplicate it, and then move it, and the next time I do Control-J, it'll also move it. I'm going to make those a little bit larger. So the default was 0.2. I'm going to change that to 0.5. I'm going to choose the rectangle tool. I'm going to start at this corner and drag up to that corner. I need to change the fill to no fill, and I'm going to change the stroke to 2 points. Now I'm done with that. I could group this and call it 5 by 5. I could change the color to a brown color. Oops. Make sure that, change that one to no fill. Make sure you have the stroke selected before you change the color. I'm going to do a little bit larger grid for a larger puzzle. I'll make this one 10 by 10. I'm going to choose the pen tool. I'm going to go back down to 0.5 for my points. I'm going to leave a little bit of space around this. So I'll start in this corner. And then I'm going to give it a little bit more room for writing numbers in. So I'll go over 3 this time. Double click to terminate that. Select the Move tool. Control-J for the power duplicate. Snap it to the grid, and then just power J up until I've got enough there. Switch over to the vertical lines here, select that, Control J, move it, and then finish up with power duplicate. Then I can add the rectangle, go up to 2 points, I'll go back to the pen tool, and these puzzles are usually divided up in groups of 5. So I want to have a heavier line every 5 lines. So I'm going to go here, select from there to there, double click that, and I'll just make it a 1-point line, which will be heavier than the 0.5. I'll make another one from here to here. I'm going to group those, and I'll call that a 10 by 10. Some of these puzzles are quite large, so I'm going to set up a larger one down in the bottom section, but in order to get enough squares in here, I'm going to change the setup a little bit. So I'm going to go into View, I'm going to go to Grid and Axis. I'm going to change this to 0.5, so a 1/2 inch spacing, but still leave the number of divisions at 5. So you can see the grid has changed to have a lot more squares on it now. I'm going to choose my pen tool. I'm going to go, I'll leave one here, I'll go 5, 10, 15, 20. I'll do 20 by 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50. I'll do 50 by 20. I'm going to start here. I'm going to go all the way over to here. I want to make sure I change this to 0.5. I'm going to do a Control J to duplicate it, and then just go into Power Duplicate with Control J again. And I'll just go up to there. That'll leave me a little bit of a gap up here. And then do the other side, the vertical, over this way. Control J. Snap it to the grid. And then finish off with the rest of these. Oops. Control Z to take out the extra one. And now I'm going to add my rectangle. I'm going to make it 2 points again. I'm going to choose my pen tool. Make sure it's set to 1 point. I'm going to make a line from here up to here. Choose the select. Control J to duplicate it. Move it over so it's lined up with this line. And then I can use Control J to power duplicate that for the rest of the grid. I'll do the same thing for the horizontal lines every 5. It's lined up here. Over to there. Select it. Control J. Move it up to this grid line. And then finish off with another Control J. There's the final grid, and I could group that if I wanted to. If I want to save these, I can go to Export and choose either PDF or JPEG or whatever other format you want. That's how you can make a nonogram grid using Affinity Designer, but I'll leave solving the puzzles to you. Let me know if you have any comments or questions, and thanks for watching.